Hey everybody, welcome to Dr. Fantastic Interviews. It's a fantastic day to be on the top side of the grass. Actually, at this very moment, I'm in, I think it's called Fairfield Park or something, and there's grass all around me, and I'm on the top side of it. Isn't it great to be alive, Hannah?
It is so good to be alive. Absolutely fantastic to be breathing in love and gratitude on this beautiful planet.
Well, I want to introduce everyone to you, Hannah Marie, who is a muse. And I think you're the first muse that I've interviewed.
Oh, well, we're all muses. We're all here to inspire each other, so thank you.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering if I'm a muse because I'm a motivational speaker and a philosopher and a student of life, love and the pursuit of happiness, of course. And I help a lot of people lately, and it's really rewarding. It's really, I really believe karma does work.
Beautiful, yeah, and that's really what the Muse movement is all about, is reminding people and holding up a mirror so that every person that I come in contact with, that you come in contact with, can really see their leadership, their musery, their ability to inspire other people, which I find is just so important these days.
Well, do you believe love at first sight, Hannah?
Do I believe what?
In love at first sight?
I
do. Because when you look into other people's eyes, I tell young men, and women as well, but mostly men, when you look into a girl's eyes for the first time, never be the first one to look away. Because women want a guy that's strong, and if you look away, you're not as strong as the woman. And if the longer you look in their eyes, the more you're communicating. And of course, if you tell them that you're fantastic when you first meet them, that's a wonderful thing as a first impression. But as long as you keep looking into one's eyes, there might be love there. And I really do believe it's love at first sight.
It's true. It's true.
Are you in love?
I am in love.
Okay, tell me about when you first looked into your lover's eyes.
I mean, yeah, it was profound, and we still practice eye gazing. And the first time, though, it's just, I guess, like this profound stillness, and he's so present and masculine, and it gave me this opportunity to settle into my femininity and to really just like blossom open like a beautiful flower. So,
well, I'd love to hear that. Do you think we're going to get back to the age where a man was a man and a woman was a woman? I mean, that's so politically incorrect to say now because it's the Me Too movement. It's we're all one sex. It almost seems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely, that's something that I've been really meditating on recently, actually, because I am very called to the polarities of two people, right? Like the man holding that protector, provider, and the woman being the art, the movement, the dance, right? And I have seen what you're saying, and that people are kind of merging and becoming these fluid experiences, and I think there's a beauty to that. I know as a woman, I'm an entrepreneur. I love providing for myself. I love working. I have a mission. I feel like my mission is very strong, and that like single pointedness is actually a masculine experience. However, I think that what's most important in society right now is coming into harmony within oneself, right? So knowing that my masculine is balanced in harmony with my own feminine so that I'm whole, and then when I meet another man, when I meet another person, they can experience their wholeness, but then our two polarities can dance together. So I do think it's possible. I think it's beautiful. I also feel like we all want to experience new flavors.
I hope we all do. I've experienced 79 different flavors in as much as I've had 79 different professions in my life.
Wow.
And just recently, last year, I heard a quote by Mark Twain, and he said the two best days in a person's life are the day they are born and the day they discover why. And as I look back on many of my professions, I discovered I was a motivator for many of them. Whether I was working in show business, motivating people to work for free, or whether I was in sales, motivating people to part with their money to buy something. It's all about motivation, and I think I've been a pretty good motivator my whole life, and now I'm dedicating it to motivating people to be kind, to be nice to their neighbors, to open doors and let people in traffic. And that's what fantastic people do. They do all those things. My goal right now, Hannah, is to bring back the small town mentality into the big bad city. Because right now, because everyone's so concerned with making money and pushing everyone aside so they can get to their money, it's become a very callous, a very greedy, selfish society. And if we start thinking of others, like we were taught by our mother, to be kind, to be polite and courteous and friendly, if we can do that to total strangers, which is how you experience LA when you're driving down the road. I drive 5 things in life right now in retirement. I drive Uber and Lyft, which I think is extremely fun because I'm changing people's lives every day. I drive limousines, which I'm about to do in an hour. I drive people's yachts. I'm a private captain. And I drive my wife crazy all the time. So I drive a lot of things, but I'm driving people to think of others in as much as if they say they're fantastic. And when you say you're fantastic, you release endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin because it forces you to smile. As you know, the smiling is the most important, and laughter are the most important things you could do for your health. And if we just all become fantastic, and if nothing else from this movement I started that I want you part of, is to let people in when you drive. Open doors for people. Be kind to one another. Treat others as though you would treat yourself, as you want them to treat you. And it can happen. I always felt that my vote didn't count when it came to time to vote for the president. But when I think about this movement, and that everybody, if they start thinking about others and being fantastic and being kind, that does count. And you can make a difference just by being fantastic. It's like, I think I found my calling, and it's so much fun to open up people's eyes. I walk up to total strangers every day and say, how are you? And inevitably they're going to say, I'm good, and how are you? And I'm going to say, how would you like to be fantastic? And their eyes light up, Hannah, like you won't believe. It's almost like I gave them the winning lottery number. Some people get this movement just by hearing those 2 words. It's amazing. It's so much fun. But everyone's heard about me on this show. I want to hear about Hannah the Muse. So how did you get to be a muse, and how is that going?
It's going really well. How did I get to be the muse? I think it's more like the muse speaks through us all, right? We're channels of the divine. We are these bridges between heaven and earth. And so through a lot of my own life practice of getting out of the way so that divinity, love, and joy can channel through was the biggest thing for me. And it allowed me to be fantastic because there was no longer this friction or these blocks to what a lovely, simple, joyful, and giving life is. So yeah, it was through a lot of self-practice and yoga and traveling and learning that there are so many good people in the world and that I'm one of them. And that if I can just smile at someone on the street and change their day, or if I can wave at the bus driver and actually have a conversation with them and seriously care about what's going on, how's your day? Those moments for me are so monumental. If we think about the sacred geometry of life, right? We are all connected and we are all one. And so the muse energy is just, it's a beautiful energy of love that wants to continue to give and that wants to remind people that they're important. and that they also inspire others. And so to really be fine-tuned to like where energy goes and where energy flows and what are we focusing on, and are we in gratitude and grace, or are we, you know, feeding another wolf? Are we feeding something that doesn't serve? So
yeah, we need more engagement. You know, I mean, we were given speech to communicate, right? And unfortunately, with these cell phones, you know, they were invented to talk to one another, and now they're used to text one another. So we are communicating, sort of, but I like the English language. I mean, I like languages. I think it's important to express yourself with words, not with text. But there's no engagement. One of the things that Being Fantastic does is it opens up engagement. Recently, Netflix spent $100 million to renew the series, to replay it, to rerun it, and they interviewed Jennifer Aniston, and Jennifer was reflecting on the show, and she said, in the era of Friends, when you went to a coffee shop, you engaged with people, you had conversations. Yeah. Nowadays, it's a library, it's a morgue, it's no talking aloud. You know, it's just sad, but we can bring it back by engaging, by not sitting next to someone on an airplane for 8 hours and finding out who your neighbor is. Because, like you say, we're all connected. You and I, if we sat down long enough, have a mutual friend. We don't know who it is. It takes some time to figure it out, but it's a very small world. I've traveled around it a few times, and I know that I can sit down anywhere in the world with anyone in the world, and there is a common denominator. There is a connection. And it's a wonderful thing, but we need we need more muses in the world. We need more people opening people's eyes that you don't live for retirement, because you don't always get there. My parents died when I was 11. They didn't get halfway to retirement. Okay? So it's like every day is so precious. And when I look at this green field here, and it's wonderful that we still save parks. We don't put a bunch of homes on them, and just, you know, it's just we need to enjoy life, and I'm on a mission to open people's eyes that you can. It's not all about money.
And it's so much easier to enjoy life when there's presence, right, to each moment, and how sacred all of those little moments are. I love that. You just said, Dr. Fantastic.
Stop and smell the roses. Pull over when you see a beautiful vista. Even if it's just for 20 seconds. Pull over and take it in, you know? Stop at a park like I just did and enjoy the greenery and the little kids running around. You know what I really love, Hannah, is kids, because they live in the present. They don't have 5 minutes in the future, and they don't have 5 minutes in the past. They're so present, and that's living life large when you are in the present and you're enjoying that moment.
It really is. I did that this morning. I just, it's so funny you said that. There's these rose bushes out in front of my house in the park that I run in, and they're blossoming. They're the biggest, most beautiful roses I've ever seen, and some of them have these like almost tie-dye effects, and they're more fragrant than I've ever smelled a rose in any natural setting. And I was like, everyone needs to stop and smell these roses. Where are you guys?
Exactly. And now they have the cherry blossoms blooming. I just met someone that went to Japan to see it, flew all the way to Japan to see it, and they're everywhere. But the fall is coming, the beautiful colors are coming out, and if you just pass it by, another analogy I have is, I don't know if you drive in the city or not, but you notice that everyone's rushing to red lights. They're on everyone's tailgate, and I don't know if you know it, but you don't get your destination any quicker by stopping at the red light sooner. And it's an analogy of life. They're rushing to retirement. They're rushing through life. They're not enjoying the day. Enjoy the journey. It's not the destination. It's the journey. All these things we've said are all been said time and immemorial, and time again. It's probably the better way to say that. But they're so true. The reason they're said over and over again is they're true. Many philosophers have said, enjoy every day as though it's your last, because one day it will be your last. It's a beautiful thing, life.
Yeah. It's got me thinking. And it sounds like, and this is just my reflection, is that you had that realization, and that's when you really transitioned into doing what you love.
Yeah, I tell you, I counsel a lot of people, and I had these two gay guys in the car, and they had a 12-year-old son, and they knew I was a life coach. They said, Jimmy wants to be rich. Give him some advice to be rich. I said, Jimmy, you don't want to be rich. What you want to be is doing something that you're passionate about, so you can't wait to jump out of bed in the morning to do it. And when that happens, you're going to love what you're doing. You're going to do it well because you love it, and you're going to make money at it because you're doing it well. And that's the end result, not the money. And then conversely, I had a woman recently who was clinically depressed. This woman was off the charts depressed. I asked her to say, I'm fantastic. Typically, everyone feels fantastic after saying it for the first time. And she said it like this, I'm fantastic. And she was off the charts depressed. And because, when you get depressed, or you don't smile. And when you don't smile, you don't get enough endorphins. And without endorphins, it leads to clinical depression. So she was off the charts. But I think I lost my train of thought there. But at any rate, it's all good.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, I mean, that's part of the muse, too, is the muse energy is that energy that, wants to evoke pleasure and playfulness in every moment. And so, being able to skip down the street as an adult or stop and smell the flowers or just claim being fantastic, because when you do it, it inspires other people to do it. And when I do it, it inspires other people to do it. Because
Exactly.
It's not it's not anything difficult. It's a magic trick. It's no, I'm choosing in this moment to just be.
Yeah.
And that's why being a muse is so important.
I'm so happy that you are one. And do you have many muse friends?
Oh my goodness. Every single person that I hang out with is so inspiring, is such a muse in its own way. I am incredibly blessed to be among some of the most brilliant, kind-hearted, giving, awake, playful people. I'm constantly just moved. I'm moved by the people in my circle and the people that I get to create this life with.
So you were probably when we met at the Conscious Life Expo. To me, that I was in Disneyland. It was I wanted to interview everyone I looked at because they're almost like their personalities are on the outside of their skin, not on the inside. Because of the way they dress, just the way they act. I mean, it was really. It was my first Conscious Life Expo, and I had a ball. And I'm still interviewing people that I've met and people I didn't meet because they all have a story. And my whole radio show that's coming out May 21st. By the way, everyone listening, May 21st, 2 p.m. is going to be the Dr. Fantastic Show. And I'm going to continue interviewing muses, psychics, mediums, humanitarians, philosophers, motivational speakers, scientists, all the people that have something to offer the world. And it's all about knowledge. The more you know, the easier life is, and more enjoyable it is. And people don't know. They really don't know. They didn't have a class like this when I was growing up to open your eyes to the world, I told this story the other day. When I was in high school, I went to the counselor, and she said, you have to take a foreign language. I said, why? She goes, well, to get into college, you need a foreign language. And I was thinking, and I think back on that, because that wasn't a good reason for me to learn a foreign language. Had she said, you might want to go to travel to a foreign country one day where they don't speak English, and they might have a pretty girl there that you might want to speak to in her language, that would have been inspiring. That would have made me want to take a language. So it's all the way you introduce things to people. You've had teachers in the past, some great teachers that motivated you, that introduced something to you in a certain way, and some lousy teachers that just talked monotonously with information that did nothing. So as a muse, you are an educator to open up people's eyes, to be friendly, to be kind, to be nice, correct? So you're a teacher of life. And you got to watch the movie I told you about, The Muse. Oh, it's great with what did I say it was with? The famous.
Was it S? Did it start with an S?
Big Star. Anyway, it's called The Muse. It's a really funny comedy. It's pretty cute.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. At any rate, I want to thank you for your time. We're going to do it again on the radio when I get my show up. But for now, you're going to live in infamy on Dr. Fantastic Interviews. Everybody listening, you're going to go to her website, which is?
Oh, I'm HannahMarieMuse.com.
Great. And do you have an Instagram?
I do. It's Hannah, HANNAH_Marie, MARIE_Muse, MUSE.
And I want to thank you for being a fantastic person. You might want to consider in the near future to be what I call an ambassador of positivity. I've got 16 of them, and people like you that are thinking positive, that want to spread that want to pollinate. You saw my logo. The bee represents pollinating positivity, and we need to pollinate positivity to all the folks of the planet.
I love that. Pollinating positivity. I'm definitely curious to hear more. I do consider myself an ambassador of love, so
ambassador of positivity. It means you're part of the. I'm great. I'm also launching an app that's gonna. If you're an ambassador of positivity, we'll have your link to what you do as a muse. But more importantly, is telling everyone to be fantastic every day, to live life large, to be positive, and it's all about being positive. There's many religions, there's many politics. No one agrees on any of that stuff. And I never talk about those things. But you can't argue with being positive. Nobody can argue that. And so I have, this movement has something for everyone. The art of positivity.
It is. And it is an art. It's a beautiful way to create a beautiful world.
Yeah. Everybody be fantastic. Thank you, Hannah, Marie, the Muse. Everybody be fantastic, and tune into the radio show. Look up Hannah, and more importantly, just be fantastic. You'll live longer. You'll live longer. You look better, and you're happier when you're fantastic. Bye-bye, everyone.